Thanks, Jim. This is Greg Young. I'm the chair of the Northborough Conservation Commission, and this is the November meeting. This open meeting of the Northborough Conservation Commission is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of June 16th, 2021, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency. All members of the Northborough Conservation Commission are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order allows the Northborough Conservation Commission to meet entirely remotely, so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Members of the public who wish to view the live stream of this meeting may do so by going to Northborough Remote Meetings on YouTube via the link listed on the agenda. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Tom Beals.
Here.
Todd Helwig.
Here.
Dan Clark.
Here.
Diane Gouldner.
Here.
Justin Dufresne.
Here.
Very good. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Mia McDonald.
Here.
Jim DiGiulio.
Here.
Very good. Some business rules. The chair will invite each speaker or applicant on the agenda by name to make a presentation and speak to their application. Participants will provide their full name and hold until the name is called. Each speaker will be asked to mute their phone or computer when not speaking and to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate meeting minutes. Those responding will be asked to wait until the floor is yielded to them by the chair. Speakers who wish to respond to the comments of others do so through the chair, taking care to identify themselves. Each vote taken by the commission will be conducted by roll call vote. After members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment as follows. By phone, dial *9 to raise your hand and wait to be recognized. Please note that part of your phone number will be visible to those viewing the meeting. By Zoom, click Raise Hand on the bottom of your screen and wait to be recognized. The chair will ask members of the public who wish to speak to identify their names and addresses only. Once the chair has a list of all public commentators, the chair will call each by name and afford 3 minutes for any comments. Diane, please.
The meeting will include the following hearings pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, and the Northborough Wetlands Protection Bylaw. Notice of intent for Solomon Pond by Rick McWilliams of the Pondview Way Condominium Trust for aquatic plant management of the pond. Is it?
Very good. Thanks, Diane. Okay, meeting minutes from October 18th. Very detailed as usual, Mia, from Melody. Any questions or comments from the commission on the meeting minutes?
Oh, they're very neat. Well,
Yeah.
you know,
Very
orderly.
concise. Good. Then we need a motion.
The October meeting minutes. Second.
Seconded by Tom Beals, correct?
Justin.
Justin Dufresne, thank you. Roll call vote. Todd Helwig,
Yes.
Tom Beals,
Yes.
Dan Clark.
I think I was at that meeting, so.
You were not. That's right, thank you. Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Diane Gouldner,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay. So Mia, we are continued for 0 Hudson Street
Zero Hudson has requested a continuance
and also
until the
for-
November meeting.
For the December meeting.
November. Oh, sorry. Yeah, December. This is the November meeting.
And the same with 190 Howard.
Yes, 190 Howard has also requested a continuance to the December meeting.
Okay. We need a motion for continuing those meetings.
I move that we continue the meeting for 0 Hudson Street until the December meeting.
Second.
Okay, for 0 Hudson Street, Tom Beals,
Yes.
Todd Helwig,
Yes.
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne.
Yes.
Okay, and I vote yes. 190 Howard Street continuation.
I move that we continue 190 Howard Street until the December meeting.
Second.
Seconded by Tom Beals. Roll call. Tom Beals,
Yes.
Todd Helwig,
Yes.
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Leroy, I know we touched on this last month a bit, but 0 Hudson Street, didn't we open that in February?
Oh, I believe the last time they were in was April.
But we opened it in February or March, I think, didn't we?
Yes.
I mean, how long do we keep that as an active item if it's not very active?
There's no precedent on it after it has sat for 2 years
Okay.
on the agenda with no activity but continuances, then we should approach the applicant and encourage them to refile because they wouldn't be, and even now, I know Greg and I discussed briefly, I would like to request the applicant to re-notify abutters prior to when they present again. So that's up to you guys, but because it is an expense, but since it's been April, it's been 7 months. And if they come to December, it will have been 8 continuances.
Is that a requirement or is that just
It's a
local-
request, just a request. If they refuse, the other option is the commission may take on the expense to re-notify abutters. You can always do that. But generally, people comply.
Is there not any limit at all? They could go on. I mean, either they have a plan or they don't have a plan.
No, they've paid their fee and they've submitted a complete application. So this is just, the service we provide.
Okay.
You looking for an answer tonight on the reapplication or the re-notification?
Yep, I'd like to hear the consensus of the commission if you'd like them to re-notify prior to presenting again.
I mean, is that something that's normal? I mean, I've never experienced that here before.
Yeah,
Justin,
I've
have you
done
seen that or heard that at all? Re-notification?
I don't think we've
I
ever.
don't think I've continued many
Ever
for that
continued.
long.
Go ahead.
No, I don't think it in my work, I can't remember any that we've kicked the can on for that long, but I mean, I think it makes sense if it's been, 8 months, close to a year. I mean, some of those neighbors, if they were going to show up at the first hearing, second hearing, they're not going to know to show up, 10 months later or something.
or they
It would
moved.
be different.
Yeah,
Could be
or
different than mine.
they're a totally different neighbor. Yeah.
we generally require, the law states a current abutter, a certified abutters list, and in-house, we consider that within 3 months. So, it's not a current abutters list anymore.
Tom, you're shaking your head.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever continued one that long.
This one as we have now.
I think the longest has been maybe 3 meetings.
Well, the fact that the town considers the 3-month list, the 3 months, the limit of a current abutters list, and that's kind of the background we have to lean on.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm fine with it personally, but we can vote it if you like. Any concerns here? Anybody think that's the wrong way to go?
No.
Oh,
No, we're just asking, right? So,
yep.
Yeah, we're just asking. Okay, Mita wants to vote, or you've heard the commission.
A vote. We can do a vote.
Okay. So we are voting on the idea that we're going to ask the applicant for 0 Hudson Street to refile with a current abutters list.
Or to re-notify abutters prior to presenting at the meeting.
Yes. Tom Beals,
Yes.
Todd Helwig,
Yes.
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
Yes,
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Okay.
All right.
We did have one of these in another town I worked in, and I did contact DEP, and they said it's good practice, especially because people move and come back. So those people could appeal. So
Well,
it's
we have this-
actually a good measure for the applicant as well.
I think the 3-month window for current abutters list is kind of the driver for us. That's how the town looks at it.
Mhm.
Okay, Solomon Pond Vegetative Management. Let's see what we have here. We want Dominic, right?
Yes.
Okay, Dominic, you're going to be a panelist. Hey, Dominic.
Hey, folks. Good evening.
Anybody else, Don? Anybody else you want?
There's probably some folks from the homeowners association here. I'm not sure. I
I've got
know I
Henry's-
spoke with.
Henry Squilante and Larry Hemstreet.
Larry's from 20 Dennis Circle.
Okay. All
Is
right.
there a Janet Samstrong there by any chance? No.
No, just those two names I mentioned.
Okay. Yeah, those
All
don't
right.
sound familiar. So
Okay, fine. So they may have questions later. We'll certainly give them opportunity to speak.
okay, great.
Okay, you were here last month, I think, to give us an overview.
Yeah. So I can do that again quickly, and then we could just jump into questions.
Thanks. Sorry.
So again, my name is Dominic Maringolo. I'm an environmental engineer, project manager with Solitude Lake Management. We were hired by the Pondview Homeowners Association in 2019 to do kind of a vegetation survey of Solomon Pond and present some management recommendations. Overall, the pond's in really good shape. The 2019 report I provided to Mia this afternoon, I realized reading through the NOI today, it should have been attached to the NOI, so I apologize for that, but you folks, or at least Mia has it at this point. But overall, the pond's in pretty good shape. There's no invasive or non-native species aside from some purple loosestrife plants on the shoreline, but in the water itself, there's no non-native species. However, the entire littoral zone does experience areas of heavy growth of water lilies. We are starting to get some shallowing in some parts of the littoral zone. So I think this is what we're proposing is a really selective management program using both mechanical hydro raking as well as some limited herbicide treatment. I think really we're filing this as an ecological restoration project. So our goal here is to slow the eutrophication of the lake and thin out some of the native vegetation, create some lanes, some edge habitat, just thin out some of those water lilies so that we're not getting that large amount of biomass growing and dying every year and continuing to shallow up those littoral zone areas. So in terms of the hydro raking, so obviously the Pondview homeowners they're a section of Solomon Pond, and obviously they're kind of taking this project on. So the areas that we're proposing are, obviously in front of their properties, but I think it's really creating some edge habitat and thinning that nuisance native vegetation. I think could really be beneficial throughout the pond. Obviously, with the homeowners taking this on, they would like to focus on their area at least initially. So. The hydro raking is really planned in about 1/4 of an acre in 2 sections. I don't know, can I share my screen, Mia? Is that okay?
Sure.
I can pull up that map.
Are you able to share?
It says the host has disabled participant screen sharing.
So I just changed that back over, so
Okay.
you should be all set now. Sorry about that.
Yeah, there it goes. Okay. I just find. There it is. Okay. So, let's see. I'll just go to the figure right now. So this is kind of the northeast area of the pond and the condominiums there are the Pond View Homeowners Association. So really the northern and eastern shoreline had the most dense water lilies, and this area in particular had some significant amount of growth. You can actually, this is a picture, it looks like in the spring. You can see some of the root mats still under the water there. You can see some of that light colored on the black water there. It's some of that built up root material there that's causing the increased eutrophication and filling in. So the yellow and black hashed line there is the area that we'd be managing lily pads with herbicide treatments, and the darker red areas would be the two specific areas for mechanical hydro raking. We also noted on the map here the area of offloading. So mechanical hydro raking is a floating backhoe with a York rake on the hydraulic arms. It's paddle wheel driven. It's on a kind of a floating pontoon barge. It has a biodegradable hydraulic oil, and basically the York rake scrapes the bottom, removing the plant material and its root systems, leaves, debris, that kind of thing. It's not a closed bucket, so it does not remove consolidated like muck, just the root systems and plant material. So that would be done in about 1/4 of an acre in these two red spots, and we would also manage lily pads with herbicide treatments in the yellow and black line hatched area. A little pentagon there, the yellow one is where we expect that the offloading will occur. So the hydro rake material would be each York rake full would be deposited in that area. We expect that hay, double staked hay bales, straw wattles would be used to create an offloading area. There would be a small bobcat or a small backhoe front end loader that would take the material that's deposited by the hydro rake, put it into a dump truck, and that it would be carried or it would be transported away to an offsite area. There's a couple of different ways we can do it. The hydro rake can actually let the material off on the ground within the cordoned off area. If the conditions are right, the hydro rake can sometimes even deposit the material right into the bucket of the front end loader, and it can go right into the truck, which sometimes helps. Having to pick the material up twice or deposit it, pick it up again and put it into the truck. So this will be something that some of these decisions are made kind of as we put this site together, the offloading site. So we'll probably have to have a little bit of back and forth with Mia on the fine tuning exactly how the offloading will go. But the idea is to offload there, transport off site, and then after we're done, kind of restore that area back to its pre-work condition. If it's a sensitive area or mucky or wet, we also can put down, matting down on the ground where the machine will be working. So we try to, minimize the disruption and the alteration of that area as much as possible to get what we have to get done. So in terms of the herbicide treatments, we are requesting 2 different herbicides. One is Amazamox and the other one is glyphosate. These are 2 aquatic labeled herbicides that are registered, approved for use in lakes and ponds. It's a foliar type treatment where we spray the mixture using either a backpack sprayer or a low volume gas pump from a boat, and just kind of do a foliar treatment over the dry leaves. And it's a systemic herbicide, so it will control the root systems as well. So that would be good, especially after we're done raking, to kind of keep the lily pads from growing back. But I think the idea with the raking is to get a lot of that old dead plant material out of there as well, which is even more beneficial, and it creates a better situation where we then can go in and do maintenance treatments with the herbicides. So I mean, our staff is licensed to use these products. We have also have to get a license to apply chemicals from the Mass DEP, which is a site-specific permit listing the particular herbicides, the amounts, and a map of the area. And then DEP, looks through, make sure everything jives with the label. They check for water use, potential water uses in the area, and that sort of thing. And they go through all that and provide us with a permit, which we have to get every year. So again, this will be an ongoing program. We expect that the part of the program will be an early season vegetation inspection, do the work, and then a late season inspection of the plants, a year-end report provided to the client and the commission, which would basically document the activities for that year, and then present a tentative plan for what may be expected for the following year. So we would ask for a multiple year approval, obviously with the condition that if the areas from year to year would be approved by the commission after they have a chance to review the year-end report. I'm trying to think. I mean, I had gotten some, I don't know, Mia, if you want me to go through the questions that you had sent and the additional information we sent, or if you want to just go through some questions now.
Well, Mia, the question here is that, do we have a DEP file number yet for this?
No.
We do not. So
No,
we have
not
no
yet.
DEP file number, no question. We cannot close tonight.
Yes,
Right.
that's right.
Okay, I know that Mia provided some questions, and that some of the commissioners may have questions too. So why don't we start with maybe Mia's, and you can walk us through those, Don?
Yeah, sure. That's fine. So I wrote up I put together a document this morning, just kind of going through each question. Obviously, the 2019 report was not included in the NOI, so I have that report in this package. There was a question about the invasive species. There are no non-native species in the water. As I mentioned, there's purple loosestrife along the shoreline, but there's nothing specifically planned for those. I think we probably need to take a closer look at where they are and look at them at the right time of year, usually when they're flowering in July, early August, to really see the full extent. Certainly if there's some on the property, we basically would use the same herbicides on the purple loosestrife as the lilies. But there's no plans to do those this coming summer, but that could be something that we talk about in our year-end report. Take a look at them this summer. If we feel like there needs to be some action there, we can talk about that and present it to you in the year-end report for approval. In terms of basically what do we do to prevent new invasive species? And certainly for our equipment, our boats, our hydro rakes, we follow the Mass DCR protocol, which I have included in this package as well. Other than that, I mean, I think I would recommend, I'm not sure if there's true public access here, but if there should be signage there. Certainly we can disseminate some educational materials to the applicants, homeowners as well, and we can talk a little bit more about that. In terms of fisheries, first kind of the standard is that there really is no time of year or any specific conditions associated with either hydro raking or herbicide treatment by the Division of Fish and Wildlife. We've certainly had, when there's a specific threatened or endangered species, there have been some of those types of conditions. which, again, Solomon Pond is not in a priority or estimated habitat for threatened and endangered species, so there's no issues there. If there had been, there may have been some conditions from Natural Heritage suggested to protect those species, and that may have included some time of year restrictions. But again, there's no specific restrictions in terms of that for this project. So, the hydro raking and the treatments done in the land underwater body resource area. I think the disposal and offloading operations would happen in bank. Potentially, I described that a little bit earlier. That we do everything we can to minimize the disruption in there, and it would all be returned to pre-work conditions following the work. But we can use mats, plastic mat, or kind of vinyl mats if needed, hay bales or wattles around the area. In terms of preventing downstream sedimentation, I guess we are kind of close to the outlet here at the spot in the pond, so we will put a floating turbidity curtain around the outlet in kind of a semicircle shape to prevent any temporary turbidity increases in the work area from going downstream. We did, in terms of, we gave you the map we were just looking at, has some more detailed information about the work area that was not in the original NOI, so that's been provided. We've already talked about the stockpiling area and how that would be done. So there's a question about wells. So there are no concerns on the part of DEP for drinking water, even private wells, with either hydro raking or this particular type of herbicide treatment. If there's additional concerns, I'd be happy to talk about that more. And if needed, we can go to the town Board of Health. I assume that they have or the homeowners to see if they have records of the wells. But certainly for the hydro raking, there's no concern. This particular herbicide, there's been no concerns about it traveling through groundwater in the past. So the DEP does not request or require any information on nearby wells in order to obtain the permit. So I think that's evidence of that. This is kind of, we talked about this a little bit already too. I think, this is intended to be an ongoing program. We may not necessarily do work or treatments or hydro raking every year, but anytime that we do work, we present the year-end report, providing information on what is planned for the following year, which certainly would welcome a condition in the order that the commission needs to receive that report and approve the work or the specific areas for the following year. And we have not received, as you mentioned earlier, had not received the DEP comments yet, or for file number yet. So once we receive that, we'll, if needed, we can submit another response to any comments they may have.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah, the rest of the package, I don't know if I'm not sure if this was distributed or not, but the rest of the package has the 2019 report, which goes through what was documented, some management recommendations, general vegetation survey, assemblage map from the 2019 survey. This is the decontamination protocol adopted by DCR and MWRA, which we follow in terms of plants and animals, zebra mussels, etc., decontaminating our machines and boats. And then this is the map we were looking at earlier. So
good. Thanks, Tom.
You're welcome.
Mia, do you have any other questions, or did you get good answers that the questions you had posed?
I guess I have a couple. My first is the offloading location is right next to the outlet to the pond. And I was wondering if you had considered any other, including the restaurant. The restaurant has a very shallow distance and a big parking lot that they don't often use. So I was wondering if the restaurant had been contacted or if we could possibly use that.
Well, I think that's certainly up for discussion. I honestly, I kind of picked that based on kind of initial survey of the map and the aerial photos. So we're certainly not married to that location. It looked like might have been kind of like an old beach area there, so I thought it was kind of already disturbed. But no, I think that's certainly possible. We can discuss that with the homeowners and finalize that. I think if we, assuming that will get continued today and be at your December meeting, we'll see if we can't nail that down and change that before, and we can present that at the December meeting.
Because I know the restaurant's in business, so maybe they could be contacted. And that's a lawn there too. And then the actual raking, when you showed the hydro raking area, there's an actual like backup. There's almost like a floating island of muck between the pond and the outlet. Are you guys going to be raking that? Because you're going to be going in and out from the offloading area.
Yeah, no, if there's a floating island, that'd be an ideal thing to remove. Where is that, outside of these red areas?
Yeah, so it's kind of between them, right at the outlet. The outlet is
Okay.
sometimes blocked by it.
Oh, yeah, then
Yeah.
I think I expect that would be I would have to double check with the applicant, but I mean, it certainly sounds like something that would be worthwhile to do. So,
Can you see my screen? This is Google Maps. So this is the outlet here, and this is the muck. And then I think you proposed hydro raking here and here. But this is almost like solid sometimes.
yeah, let me have that discussion with the applicant, with our client, and we'll see what the situation there is. I think that's certainly something we should talk about.
Okay, the outlet's easily protected. You know, they have stones there that they play with the levels sometimes. The other was notification. I do think we should notify people. It is all private. There's no public. So I'm not sure what type of outreach the commission wants to consider, if we want to put the burden on, because I mean, Pondview Homeowners Association is already bearing the burden of trying to treat this. It would be an additional cost for them to try to notify every person on the pond. But going hand in hand with that is that I'm looking at our online GIS, and it looks like a lot of people may have wells along the pond. And if their wells are shallow, they're homes that were built almost as like lakeside cottages. And I can check with the health department to find out, there's a few areas in town that still have shallow wells under the influence of surface water. And you had said that the herbicides were just for direct draw. There would be contraindications for direct draw.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, but I mean, if the health department keeps track of that information in terms of the distance from the water and the depth, I mean, it's certainly, you don't want to take in. I mean, if there's a situation where, just to keep people at ease, knowing that they're, not around the treatment area, I mean, there would be even less to worry about there. So
Yeah, I think Pondview Way is on town water, the condos. I don't think they have a well.
yeah, there's actually for both of those herbicides, there's no restrictions at all, even for except for direct intakes for drinking. There's no other restrictions like on recreation or even irrigation, because they're foliar treatments. Once the herbicide mixture hits the water, if it's not on the dry leaf itself, it won't work. If it gets in the water, it becomes dilute so fast that it doesn't have any effect on any of the other plants. So
You suggest some sort of broad communication to the rest of the folks on the pond?
well, it's the other thing
No,
about
I'm asking me the
Oh, I'm
question. I'm sorry.
Oh, they
I'm
were
sorry.
notified.
So other folks, the other non-participants, non-applicants know about what's going on.
Yeah, they were all notified. In fact, Solitude provided me the basic butters list, and we added additional ones that we thought were kind of on the border because the pond isn't a parcel. So we had to hand draw the abutters list, and that we were extra cautious and grabbed people who might have been just outside the 100, maybe nicked the 100, but we really cast a wide net to try to notify everyone.
It's really a Board of Health issue, it sounds like from here.
I'm worried we don't have the records. That's why I think notification. I'm thinking like, remember Bartlett Pond? We had those shallow wells. And so we sent notification or posted it.
All right, good. Any other question from the commission? Anybody have questions, comments, concerns about what's going on here?
I had a few questions. I actually think you answered some of them.
Okay.
The original map you had, it showed the whole shoreline as the treatment area, but that's not true, right? You're focusing.
That's not true. And so for this initial, I guess we were trying to be too general, so we left the door open for the treatments to be anywhere in the littoral zone. Obviously, that we tried to close that in now with this new map. And if any other areas were to be treated, that would be presented to the commission in the year-end report for you to review. I find it unlikely with the applicant. Obviously, the homeowner association is working with limited budgets as well, although it's probably not going to start doing treatments, in other areas of the lake.
So does that mean there are no dense lilies around the rest of the shoreline?
No, there are other sections, in a perfect world, if we had, public funding or something like that, I definitely would recommend opening up some lanes in other parts of the pond as well. It's just obviously working with a limited budget, and the homeowners have taken the burden on of filing this notice of intent and working in their area. It's working towards that goal. It's achieving that goal in this part of the pond. It's just that really not their responsibility or to be able to do it in other areas at this time.
So is it a natural pond, or is there a dam there?
I believe it's
It's natural, it's spring fed.
natural because it's a great pond, so it had to at least have been 10 acres.
And there's no public access.
No.
So I actually see this a lot, sort of homeowners presenting plans. I guess my question, or maybe my concern, it's really, it seems like it's just a nuisance for those condo owners that live there. That's my impression. So
I believe it certainly is. I'm not going to deny that, but I think we're working within the regulations here. I think we're definitely providing a benefit by, we are under the ecological restoration project status, slowing eutrophication and thinning of nuisance native vegetation is a acceptable filing under that restoration. So I believe we are achieving that as well, but obviously the locations here is at the applicant's property. I won't deny that. And I think we are meeting the goals, achieving the goals of thinning and opening up some edge habitat and slowing the eutrophication for sure.
okay, I guess I'm not quite sure I agree with that. I think if you really wanted to do ecological restoration, you would tackle the pond and not just a very, very small corner of the pond.
Yeah, I understand. It's unfortunately, there's lots of different owners of the shoreline of the pond. There's no public funding available for the projects, and certainly difficult for any one property owner to try to tackle the pond as a whole. So, and this is the situation that we're in.
Yeah, I don't know, I guess I just have reservations for sort of, it's.
May I
doing
share?
all- Yeah, sure.
Okay, there's a photo I'd like to share. I've been working, this was Bill Donovan. I think he's since moved. He had a drone. So the reason I think it's an ecological restoration project, I also agree, I wish they had addressed the whole pond. But they do have the outlet, and the outlet is getting clogged regularly. And it's the only outlet to the pond. And let me show you this. It's just gross. Can you see it?
Yeah,
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So see this floating island of muck? This is, let me look at the date, 2019, August 2019. It extends, and then the outlet is over here in the corner. And sometimes it's like solid, and they have to cut it with a shovel to keep it flowing. So the people who live in these corner, they actually go out and they like bang at this muck with a shovel to keep the lake from filling. And get the outlet flowing again, which is why I think that's the only reason I think this does qualify as ecological restoration. And then if you don't take out here and then the surrounding areas, it's just going to fill right back in again.
Mhm.
Let me see. This is it from lower. You can just see it's a solid mass.
Yeah, so I appreciate you bringing that to our attention. I think I'll definitely, I'll have a further discussion with our client. See if we can, modify the plan slightly to try to better address that section.
To me, the difference between this situation and Bartlett Pond in terms of our jurisdiction is the lack of public access.
Well, it's a wetland, so you have the jurisdiction there just because it's a wetland resource area. The funding is because there's no public access. We can't spend any money because there's no public access. And they had a few meetings, the neighbors had a few meetings where we did offer that if they wanted to negotiate with Grid or the restaurant or the condo association to provide a kayak, put in a public access, we would consider, assisting with the management, but they chose not to. They chose to keep it private.
No, just going back to Dan's comments about, taking a look at the whole versus a piece of it, which is a valid view, of course, but it seems like our hands are tied on that.
I feel like this is the worst part. You can go up on the restaurant, the deck on the restaurant, use binoculars, really view the whole pond. And actually, maybe we do have some drone shots of it further out. You can see the rest of the pond is really in much better condition than this outlet. Let's see. You see the difference already?
mhm.
It's really concentrated in this area.
Yeah, if you read through our 2019 report, I believe it does mention that the northern shoreline had the heaviest growth.
Mhm.
So it's certainly fortunate that the group that chose to take on this project is located in that area.
This is Grid over here. You can see there's some areas here. I think there's an inlet over there. Actually, no, there is no inlet, right? It's just spring fed. And I think education and outreach. Can you see kind of where the lawns are and how things are
Yeah.
growing near the lawns?
Yeah, that was my other question. Has this condition changed or gotten worse in the last, is there something that precipitated this? Then maybe that's, trying to identify the cause of.
We've been only working with them for a couple of years now, so we had never been out on the pond years
Yeah.
ago. So I don't know if there's a member of the public that might have some information on that when you open it up for public comment, but I don't think there was any specific event necessarily that caused that. My guess it's been a slow eutrophication process, but certainly I would guess exacerbated by some of the things that you were pointing out from some of the practices on some of the properties there, which also is not, there is no, as far as I know, there's no group that kind of coordinates all of the owners of the pond. So if there's some, if there's some way to disseminate some additional information, we would have to work with the commission to try to do some of that work. Or like a mailing or something like that.
Yeah, there's no lake
Um,
association.
Any more comments from the commission? Let's see if we get any public comments here. I see 2 people, no hands raised, no public questions. All right, so we're going to continue to December, correct? And hopefully we get a DEP number and questions prior to that.
Have they been getting better? I haven't done Central Region in a while. I know for a while there in the summer, they were taking like 3 months. They've been better.
Ours are usually a month. I was surprised we didn't get one tonight, but maybe they didn't get a chance to visit the pond. Or maybe they were waiting for your supplemental information. I can check in
Okay.
with them.
So
Prior
let's
to the
get a
next
motion to continue.
I move that we continue this hearing until the December meeting.
Second,
Seconded by Tom Beals. Roll call. Tom Beals,
yes.
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
Yes.
Todd Helwig,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
and I vote yes. December it is.
Is that December 13th? Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Very good. Thanks, Dom.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you guys. Have a good rest of the meeting.
Have a good Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Oh, you too.
Okay. All right. That's the end of the items on the agenda. A couple of other pieces here, Mia. The calendar for 2022.
Greg, there is one more thing and there's someone here for
Oh,
it.
I'm sorry.
20
I am
20
sorry.
Dennis Circle, Crescent
Yep,
Certificate of
yep. I
Compliance.
apologize for that. Let's take care of that right now. It's Larry M. Street, right?
Yes.
I'm gonna bring him in. There he is. Larry, you muted.
Yep. Thank you.
All right. Apologize for the slip there, but Mia, she just keeps me on the straight and narrow, which is a heck of a job. so. All right. Mia, have you checked this place out, 20 Dennis Circle?
Yeah, I visited in June because they wanted to remove the erosion controls and the grass was growing beautifully. So it was constructed as approved. We received an as-built and the grass is fully in and stable.
Was this some tree work? Is it tree work?
A few trees were removed. I do have photos if you'd like to see it.
Let's take a quick look.
This is from June.
All right, grass is growing.
So just a few trees. There used to be a wood pile right here.
Mhm.
So the wood pile's removed and there were a couple trees around the wood pile. But you can see they left trees within the limit of work.
Is that a concrete marker out there?
It's the, what's that thing?
It's the
Justin.
candy cane. It's the breather vent. It's
The breather
plas-
vent.
It's actually plastic.
It's plastic.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I thought it was
It's
some
the-
historical one we had in town or something. So
It's the vent for the septic system.
The
there you
vent.
go. It's
Couldn't think of the word.
Get it.
It's prettier
All
than the PVC candy cane they normally have.
So everything's good from your perspective, Mia?
Yes.
Okay. We need a motion.
I make a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 20 Dennis Circle.
Second.
Seconded by Todd Helwig. Roll call. Tom Beals,
Yes.
Todd Helwig,
Yes.
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Very good. You're all set, Mr. Hemstreet.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for working with us. Appreciate it.
You bet.
Okay. Now we can move on, Mia, right?
Mhm.
Anything else I've missed? No, you're gonna keep me good, okay.
I don't think so.
The calendar for 2022. I mean, what can you say? But sure, it looks fine.
Yeah. Sometimes I miss a holiday, but I try to get them all.
February 14th, that's not Washington's birthday, is it? Too early?
I don't think
The
so.
22nd or 12th.
Okay,
Was it Washington's President's Day, right?
President's Day. Okay.
Oops, that's 2022 we want.
We'll need roses and flowers and everything on that meeting.
It's February 21st.
We have to get dressed up in tuxedos and suit. Oh my God.
Monday, February 21st.
Is
President's Day.
President's Day?
Yep.
Okay.
You can bring your spouses or loved ones. There you go. Your Valentines.
Well, I'm sure there's a great demand for that.
Well, if it's a Monday, yeah. A lot of restaurants aren't even open on Mondays.
Everything else looks good to me.
And then do
Good
you think
point.
this is clear enough? You know, it says meetings will be held at 6 via Zoom or 7 in conference room B, depending on the status of the COVID emergency. And I really tried to emphasize that you need to see the agenda or contact the Conservation Commission.
Mhm,
I think I
good.
repeated it at the bottom. Please call the Conservation Commission office.
And we know that we have to move sometimes for whatever reason, whether it's a Zoom license situation or a conflict of rooms or whatever. So it's a good stake. I'm fine with it. Anybody have any questions or concerns? Looks good. Okay. Informal discussion. I
I
have,
need you to vote it. I need you to
You're gonna
vote the
vote this?
calendar. Yep.
so we need a motion.
I make a motion to accept the calendar as presented.
Second,
All in favor, Tom Beals,
Yes.
Todd Helwig,
Yes.
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Thank you.
Okay, I have 4 informal items, Mia, unless you have something to bring up first.
No, you go ahead.
Okay,
It's probably the
Number
same
1.
things.
I took a ride down West Street today and saw the work that they're doing there, which is always kind of interesting to see it happening.
Mhm.
I did not see a DEP sign. Is there one? Did
There
I
is.
miss it?
I took a photo of it because
I
I
just missed
knew.
it. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I take your word for it. Main Street, the status on those 2 properties. I know there's been an issue with one of them. How are we doing with both of them right
Oh,
now?
okay. And so it's 144 and 150 West Main Street. That's the 2 multifamilies. They did submit a winter stabilization plan that they plan to have in place by December 1st. It includes stump grindings on the back slope, and they're going to be hydroseeding with or straw. It's either straw or hydroseed with tackifier. But I think that might change. They just this week got permission. They're trying to remove the guardrail along 20. They were waiting for Mass DOT approval. They got that this week.
They
So
did.
they may actually be, so I'm guessing they're going to go with the straw because they're going to take the guardrail out and then they're going to start cutting the foundations before the ground freezes, which is always good. It's a nice temporary basin for us. And then they'll straw behind and the stump grindings along the back slope. And it's been holding. They've had some temporary basins and they've been responsive. I've been meeting weekly with their engineer on site.
All right, good.
90
Good.
West Main, you had told me to go out 2.5 weeks ago. I went on site, met the owner. They have a pile of wood chips that's pressing against the silt fence and a pile of stumps pressing against the silt fence. I asked them to move it. Went back the next week, it wasn't moved. I went back a 3rd week, it wasn't moved. So now they got a form, like a letter, an email saying this needs to be moved by Wednesday, this Wednesday. And the owner did respond and say he would move it. After that, it'll be a violation, you know. It's only so many times you can ask for maintenance.
Okay. And this is
90
Lacasa,
West
right?
Main.
It's
That's 90.
Lacasa?
144 and 150 are owned by Jim Benincasa. 90 West Main are owned by Mass Design, Mass Real Estate or Mass Realty Design.
Okay. My third question here is, how are we doing with the ATV purchase?
No movement yet. I did speak with Bill Liver about Watson Park, or I don't know if I told you our second truck. Yeah, I think I did. We talked about trail cameras. I was doing the minutes for the last meeting and realized I was supposed to call Bill. So I called Bill last week and Chief Liver. And he said that he's been contacted by the town administrator about the ATV. So I'm thinking it's moving forward. So I did tell Bill that I showed him the email with all the questions, and that there's like 5 questions. 4 of them are fully written out, but the last one is compiling the data from other towns. So I think I'm just gonna send the email without the data from the other towns and see how it goes. But it's good to have it noted in the minutes that you guys still want the ATV and still move forward on it.
So there appears to be some forward movement, albeit very slow.
Yep, and Bill
Okay.
still is willing to house it, insure it, maintain it, get a trailer. Chief Liver, not Bill.
Okay, fine. All right. Last one that I have is a conversation we had earlier about a vice chair for the commission. We don't have one. We should probably have one. But we should probably have that discussion. We have a full quorum here. So we're missing Kelly.
I can put that on the December agenda.
Those are my 4 items.
So I think it's a good idea to have a vice chair. A vice chair does have responsibilities other than just being, the substitute teacher when Greg's out. A lot of times vice chair will handle, backup on site visits and enforcement. Sometimes I call Greg. There's a short list, maybe 4 sites in town that I don't go alone. So if Fred is busy, Greg joins me. The vice chair, you would be 3rd on the list. Vice chair also helps Greg with the management of commissioners. If any of you were to, have attendance problems, or if any of you were to, maybe post inappropriately on social media, break open meeting law, speak out of turn, the vice, that your job would be to remove some duties off of Greg's plate. So you would be willing to reach out to members and discuss their behavior offline, just a phone call. So I call it the bouncer. The vice chair is like the bouncer.
Plus, Mayor, I do believe that the vice chair gets to drive the ATV.
Oh, yeah.
So,
You're all
I mean,
non-paid employees, so
yeah,
you're under the town's insurance. I shouldn't
competition
say
for
that.
spot.
I don't know. I don't even know if I'll get to drive that.
You've got the drone too. How's that?
Yeah,
The drone, right? So
yeah.
that's what I have.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything? Any observations, questions?
Yeah, so I had on Maynard Street, and I should have brought this up before, where they're putting up the Jurassic Park fence. You've seen this?
Oh, Maynard Street?
Yeah, there's the giant house that's being constructed back there.
Yes.
And I guess I should have noticed before, but I don't know what they're doing. They've got a giant gate that they've built along the side of the driveway. And
Okay.
if they continue it on, it's going to go into the wetlands on either side. Now, I should have raised it earlier, but the reason I'm bringing it now is because I was by there yesterday and they got blue wetlands flags up.
Okay.
Huh.
That's 89, right? No. I visited it. It's actually owned by the same people who own 90 West Main Street. And so they called me, they were putting in a chicken coop. And there's a conservation area to the rear of that property. It's not Conservation Commission area. It's an easement, an open space easement as part of the planning board decision. But because it says conservation, people often call me and I usually just handle it. So behind their tennis court, they have a conservation easement. So we had to have them move the chicken coop. Then as you're driving down the driveway, they want to clear all those trees there on the side yard, which leads to a common drive to the right. I told them they need an NOI. So they've hired a consultant and they're putting together a plan. So the flags, and they also have a surveyor because they are planning on clearing that area and putting in a lawn. I didn't notice a big gate. I noticed the big gate coming in. There are wetlands along the driveway. It was a crossing when the house was originally built, not this
Yeah.
current version, but the older house. So there shouldn't be any fencing along the driveway.
There's a giant gate there. And
It, right
like
as you,
with
right in the front,
stone-
right?
Yeah, and stonework.
All right, so I will go visit again.
Tom,
I've
are they
given them
encroach-
the
Are they
previous
encroaching
plan.
now with the stonework, or are they just close?
I haven't seen the stonework.
I would think that they may be in the wetland.
Okay.
That's right along the edge of the driveway. There's a little culvert that goes under there too.
Yeah, it's a crossing when they put the
Mhm.
drive, and
89 Maynard.
And they were able to replace, so that house burned and they
Yeah,
were building a
that's it.
new house in the same footprint. And so they didn't need a conservation permit because they were maintaining that same footprint from the previous house. And then they had assured me that they wouldn't be doing any work along the driveway. So that was one of the conditions of not requiring a new permit.
Okay.
So I'll go take a walk. I just want to grab the address for the record. Hang on, my computer's going a little slow.
Anything else anybody has?
I have just one question. Is Mr. Ramadan ever deciding he's going to build up there? Is that sort of a put off to the end of times type of thing? I've never seen him around in a long, long time either.
For the minutes, it's 93 Maynard Street and it's owned by Marcelo Meneses.
I don't know, Diane, did he sell the house? Wasn't his house in the market?
I have no idea.
It was on the
hardly
market.
ever- I hardly ever go up that way.
Well, I know he never completed the road work, so
No. Which it needs some maintenance because during the real heavy storms, all that sand and gravel on the side just comes down and goes into the stream. Where it meets Sherilyn, there, Newton and Sherilyn come together where the stream is.
I can ask Fred for an update. I know he
Mhm.
was working on the road updates, road improvements.
Okay.
Anything else going on in town we've observed or? No?
not by me.
All
I
right.
need to update you on 2 sites. The first is Lyman Street, the Westboro State Hospital Power Plant.
Mhm.
Did I show you the beaver impoundment along the tank access road last month? I didn't
don't
show you. It
think
must have been
so.
right
You
after
and I
you met.
talked about it.
Yeah, I must have been right after you met. So the let me share my screen. The tank access road. In your order of conditions, you had required that they dewater, maintain the culvert, dewater, open up the road, and then install erosion controls before they start driving the trucks up to the tank. And so they didn't dewater for a while. It's a state project, so maybe it was timing or funding. Can you see this is the current access road? It's completely submerged. There's a sediment because it's a beaver subdivision in that pond. And so you can see these cut branches here have created a sediment dam along the side of the road. And so there's actually a drop off of 2 to 3 feet on the other side here, down to the wetlands. And so they had to create a water release plan. They had to release this. The pond is 8 acres. It shouldn't even exist. It wasn't even there in 2008. The beavers created it. So they're slowly releasing, you just see the erosion control inspection at Chauncey. So they started the release this morning. They did submit a plan and they started the release this morning. Their engineer drew up a plan with sandbag impoundment. And they're releasing it and monitoring it. This goes downstream into Westboro, where the old pump station is. They're removing a little pump station on the Cedar Hill Trail in Westboro. This goes right that direction. 2 weeks ago, they did remove a beaver impoundment in Westboro. And there's a whole meadow between this area and the pump station, a wet meadow, which was flooded from a beaver impoundment in Westboro. So they removed that impoundment 2 weeks ago in preparation for this one. So this is now the current release. They're monitoring it very closely. It just started today. So if you see the pond disappear, that's why. It'll go back to a channeled wetland temporarily until the beavers dam it up again.
What's the other one? You said you had 2 properties?
Oh, the other one is very new. This afternoon, we received a report of tree removal at 44 Fisher Street. It's a very large house with the meandering stream. I did receive 2 requests for certificate of compliance, I want to say in June or July, that were incomplete. And I sent them back to the engineer as incomplete. That's why they never were on the agenda. They lacked so much information, we couldn't proceed. The house has been sold, but there's a holdback. So the previous owner is still involved. And I visited, so it was reported, the previous owner called to find out the status of the request for certificate of compliance, which I haven't received additional information or new requests. And she reported that the current owner cut a bunch of trees. So, unfortunately they did. I went out and visited it this afternoon right before the meeting. And I left my card for the owner. He wasn't home. His father was home, his elderly father, and he's already called. I already got a message that he called, but I haven't been able to, he called after the meeting started. So
any remediation would the holdback would cover that, Peter? Is that the plan?
I have no idea. So
the new owner gets stuck with it.
So as far as the commission goes, all of the violations, the certificates of compliance, all our permits run with the property. So the current owner is responsible for everything. If they have a private agreement in some sort of purchase and sale or holdback between the previous owner, that's up to them. We have to hold the current owner responsible. This is the tree removal. See, there used to be just trees all around this man-made pond, and now they're gone. So so the previous owner was worried that she would be held responsible for this tree removal. I'm just going to hold the current owner responsible for everything. And if there's other private agreements, they have to work that out with their lawyers.
Okay.
You can see all these trees were cut.
Okay. All right.
Did you say, Mia, some of that is that a man-made pond? Is that what you said? Or
So
is it
the
just
previous
kinda
owners-
shaped or something at one point?
Yeah, so 70s, in the 70s, I have the letter on my wall. It's my favorite letter in the files I've ever found. It reads, "Our next letter will be nasty and will be delivered by the constable from Patrick Zecco, chairman." That's all it says. So that was the 3rd letter addressed to the previous owner, Mr. James Ellis. Mr. James Ellis, before the DeFutuses, diverted Cold Harbor Brook into 2 landscape ponds. And back then it was like the Hatch Act. And so the Conservation Commission said, you can't just make these ponds because you like things to look pretty. He did hire an engineer and a lawyer. That file is actually closed. That has a certificate of compliance. The creation of the ponds, Mr. Ellis argued that it was to control sediment from the construction from 290. I don't know. I wasn't even alive. So, but the current open orders are for the construction of the house and the driveway has a bridge. And we do have engineered plans for these, which included wetland restoration. They had built someone, I don't know who, had built a tennis court in the wetlands. And then they were putting a bridge. There was an existing driveway off Crawford Street. They wanted to change that to make a winding driveway off Fisher Street. And the Fisher Street one required a bridge over the brook. And we have all the plans. It was like 1991, so it's not that old. So the original request for certificate of compliance that I received showed that the bridge was actually in the wetlands and a bunch of wetlands had been altered and filled. And it just said, we think that it's negligible. And I was like, no, this is just go back to the drawing board and quantify the impacts and create a plan for how you're going to meet the standards. So it's gonna get hairy. The lawyers are already involved. And then the tree removal is just extra.
So for next month, we have 3 continuances
Mhm.
rolling over. We'll see what happens with a couple of those. And are we going to hear from 93 Maynard Street next month, you think?
I'll check in with them. I just have to go out there and see what the stonework is.
Right.
I'm hoping it's just like some, accessory piece at the front and it's nowhere near the wetlands. Cross my fingers.
Okay. We'll see.
He knows about the wetlands on the site. I mean, he doesn't know where all of them are, but he's been very careful. There were some trees that were charred from the house fire in the front yard that were obviously hazardous. So I gave them an administrative approval to remove those. They were in the 100-foot buffer. They weren't even anywhere near the wetlands.
Okay. All right. Nothing else?
Nothing from me.
All right. I think we can probably adjourn then if there's nothing else going on here. Anybody have any conflicts they know of for December 13th? We know things can change, but
Yes, I'm having, don't you love it? That's having eye surgery that day.
Oh, that
You
same
are.
day.
Yeah. The 13th, 12th, 13th in there in
is
December.
this cataract surgery, Diane?
Yes, it is.
Oh, you'll be fine.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe we should have
Thanks.
somebody else get ready to read Diane. So we will not count on you, Diane. Fair enough?
Yes.
I
Okay.
actually have a conflict too. I have a work meeting the same night, the 13th.
Okay.
I think that locks us into, because there's 6 of you tonight, so that locks us into the 4 of you for Solomon Pond. The Justin, Todd, Tom, and Greg.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Very good. All right. Then we need a motion to adjourn.
Don't move.
Second,
Roll call. Tom Beals,
yes.
Todd Helwig,
Yes.
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Diane Gouldner,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne.